I just want to say from the beginning, can you please leave a comment at the end of this video? Thanks.
Good afternoon. My name's Dr. Cobalt Jackson, and my favorite two interviewees are back. They've had a busy month, so there's much to discuss, and I thank them both for finding time in their schedule to come here and answer questions sent in from our loyal viewers at home. Such as this one here from a Mr. Bunny Baker, a chef from Cookham. He asks, what is a woman? What? Seems like an odd question. Or I think Bunny may be referring to the recent release of Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman?, which has garnered quite a reaction from both the left and the right of politics. Yeah, we've seen it. It's exactly what you'd expect. It's transphobia disguised as, intellectual curiosity. A woman is somebody who identifies as a woman. I mean, that's so hard to understand. I, for instance, don't identify as a woman. I identify as a prince, and Meghan identifies as 40.
But I am 40.
See? Oh, here we go again with this biology tripe.
Researchers have shown that biological fact, as you put it, is actually steeped in white supremacy. Basically it's just a smokescreen for white-dominated bigotry. Very deep, Meghan. Are you saying, therefore, that we should get rid of biology?
That's probably for the best.
I'm not saying we should get rid of biology. I mean, it bought us vaccines.
Oh, no.
We can't be so narrow-minded and, stuck on the one-dimensional definition of gender that's offered to us by, chromosomal differences.
Well, that leads us nicely onto a question here, sent in by a Charlie Chromosome, who's home alone in an aerodrome hotel in Croydon. He wants to know, is the new standard being set by crazed lefties that one can merely choose one's gender at any time and that the world must adapt to such nonsensical whimsy? Absolutely. There's more than one type of woman. You've got the old school woman, with the shiny legs and the jelly wobblers and the womb.
Jelly what?
And then you've got the new type of bird who have only recently been allowed to spread their wings, if you'd excuse the poetry for a second. The ones with the shapely shoulders and the hairy hands and the gas pipe.
Gas pipe?
Yeah, and some choose to get the gas supply cut off and some don't, But we really shouldn't be judging which bathroom they decide to use, And anyone who does is a grade A abuser.
Well, returning to Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman?, there is a scene where he meets with the Masai Mara tribe in Kenya, and they are astonished to hear of the West's confusion about what a woman is, sticking as they do very much to traditional definitions. Are they abusive bigots? Look, they have their long-held spiritual beliefs, and it wouldn't be right for us to judge them. But when white men try to push their biological orthodoxy onto our progressive society, then they need to be shunned and shamed.
Tarred and feathered. Do you understand yet?
Indeed, Harry. I think it's becoming quite clear what this is all about.
That was a video. If you want to see any more of this mad lot, it might be worth hitting the notification bell and subscribing, liking and sharing the channel. Thanks.
Why on earth would they think that?
Well, you do have form.
She's not a real doctor, don't you? Dr. Jill Biden, not a real doctor.
No, I wouldn't play that game if I were you two.
Why not?
Well, you're not a real prince, Meghan's not a real duchess, and neither of you are real talents.
Good point.
Yeah, we are getting some feedback come through, right? And one of the most common criticisms seems to be that we were disrespectful somehow by not honoring the proper, solemnity of the situation, following the death of the Queen.
Yeah, and apparently it's insulting to expect the US taxpayer to fund the chauffeuring of, basic nobodies across the Atlantic.
And do you think they have a point?
No.
No?
Not at all.
Probably. The salt and pepper must be passed together. That's Meghan's motto. Oh, a right little Mary Poppins.
Yeah. That's me and Harry, Salt and pepper. Always together.
Until you say, I can't take it anymore, Harry, and send me to my room. In the newest episode of your podcast, Meghan, you discuss the damage caused by the common use of terms like crazy, hysterical, insane, and out of your mind to describe people and their actions, particularly women.
Yeah, it's a real problem, to take a collection of behaviors and character traits and then archetype them,
Stereotype them.
as being crazy. It really damages their ability, the capacity to speak freely. When other people go around labeling them as crazy, right? How can we expect them to be able to speak freely?
Yeah, it's very funny, actually, because it's freedom of speech that prevents people from speaking freely. Oh, how delightfully droll. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, speaking freely is amazing, but freedom of speech lets people say nasty stuff, which actually stops people speaking freely. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah, obviously, it's a little bit more complicated than just the nasty things people say. It's about the creation of archetypes,
The stereotypes.
that has a deeper and more pernicious effect, on society and society's ability to be able to express itself without concern.
Oh, so you do agree with freedom of speech, then, Meghan?
Oh, no. Freedom of speech is fraught with danger, as we've seen.
I just can't. I just can't get over it. It's freedom of speech that prevents people from speaking freely. I mean, mind blown.
What we need is speech codes that prevents people from using uninclusive language, right? The sort of uninclusive language that reinforces awful archetypes.
Stereotypes. And if people can't say it, then in the end, they won't be able to think it. And then, paradise. Yes, well, thank you for your Wittgenstein-infused Orwellian insight, Harry. But who exactly would derive these speech codes? Experts.
Yeah, experts at the perpetuation of hypernormative archetypes at the symbolic and unconscious level.
Yeah, super brainy boffins that, if given all the power, could make it all better for us. Well, I have a question here from a Mr. Starmother Farmer, who's known as a charmer, as far as I can garner, who asks, do you see any potential problems in handing over the innate capacity of free expression to an unaccountable coterie of zealous regulators?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Not one bit.
No. I didn't even understand the question.
Sorry, what do you mean all these new ventures I've been announcing are just shameless stunts that aim to deflect attention away from the coronation?
Well, I couldn't sum it up more precisely than that. On the whole, my Meghan likes to keep her head down, and out of public attention. But, granted, you're right. Recently, she's had some good news. She just wanted to share it with the world. Well, she'd been pretty quiet for weeks, months even, standing back silently while she let you promote your disastrous bile-filled grumble about the pains of being a prince, your book Spare. What are you talking about? It was an instant literary classic.
Yeah, I didn't really get involved in Harry's book tour because, that was him. That was all him. That didn't involve me at all. I didn't really want to muscle in on the attention.
God forbid. Yeah, she let me get all the credit for the book. Very wise. But that's not really characteristic of you, though, is it, Meghan?
What do you mean?
Well, we haven't forgotten your engagement announcement interview where you hardly let Harry or the interviewer get a word in as you prattled on about inanities and trivialities and that irritatingly affected voice you have, unconcerned about whether the things you were saying were relevant or even true. My Meghan doesn't let the normal parameters
of conversation get in the way of her communication, you know? Relevance, truth, interest. She doesn't let those things concern her.
Yes, we've noticed that every time she opens her mouth.
Yeah, so I said, if I'm going to do an interview podcast series, you know, bring me Vladimir Putin, you know, bring me Donald Trump, bring me Mark Zuckerberg, even the Pope. Bring me the Pope.
And how did the executives react to this?
Oh, they just stared at me like I was bonkers. You know, two of them actually started scratching their heads. You know, they just looked at me, absolutely silent.
No, they weren't silent. Like, at least two of them started giggling.
Oh yeah, Jay and Theo. Mr. Putin, did you have a lack of love growing up, and that's why you're such a meanie in the present time?
Top-notch probing.
Yeah, I think so. You know, and you know, I'm tactful too, so I'd say things in such a way to try and if I see if I can get him to break down, Vladimir. Try and get him to break down and actually cry. Yeah, break down crying. But I wouldn't put my arm around him or anything, no.
No, because that would be silly.
Yeah, and once I'd hit that nerve, once I got him weak and at the mercy of my, undeniable charisma, then that's when I'd ask him to apologize for all the nastiness that he's caused in Ukraine.
Those poor people in Kyiv.
Oh yeah, I love chicken Kievs. But yeah, that would be my tactic, hit a nerve, get him emotional, get him connected to his inner woman.
That's not only sexist, Harry, that's also trans denialism.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry, yeah. I mean, get him connected to his inner trans man?
Yeah, I think that's more suitable. You really should be working on using inclusive language, Harry.
Well, I do try, Meghan, but, it's all gobbledygook at times. But anyway, yeah, I would try and get him, connected inside with his inner trans man. And it's funny, because inside his inner trans man, there's an inner trans woman inside that.
Right, so inside Putin, he has an inner trans man, and inside his inner trans man, he has an inner trans woman. Yeah, well, he's like a Russian doll.